Yeah, I think my phone overheated. we might have to direct a fan at the phone. Can we get a fan angled at this somehow? Maybe. Nope. Yeah. It's just gonna get hot. No, it's not. It's in its it's au naturel. Okay, so we'll take a minute, let people get back in. That was an unpleasant noise. That was also an unpleasant noise. Okay, well, there's airflow in the direction of the phone. Okay. Yeah, it ultimately crashed at 5.1 gigahertz. So I'm going to go back into the BIOS and like maybe up the load line calibration a little bit more. So now we are at LLC Turbo. Yeah, Nathan, if you want to, like, I can't believe it just doesn't point at a single, like, whatever. Yeah, go ahead and redo the... Go ahead, redirect people to the new stream or something. Okay, so we are back. Maybe with higher LLC and hopefully a cooler phone. Okay, so we're definitely running more voltage. V-core is now 1.342, which is like a lot closer to our expected value. I mean, it's actually doing, like, as far as thermals go, this is really, for an AVX workload on a Coffee Lake chip at 5.1 gigahertz all core, like, we're not even cresting 81 degrees Celsius, which is really good. I turned up the LLC to turbo. And by the way, this is the Aorus Gaming 7. I think somebody asked that before my phone crashed, and so Gigabyte's highest end Z370 motherboard. And no AVX offset. This is 5.1 gigahertz. Just period. So we'll see if it gets through this. I don't expect it'll have any trouble. Like if it's not crashed by now, you know, we should probably expect it'll be okay. I mean, it might be 5.2 gigahertz capable just as it is. Like we're not. Usually, what stops these things is thermals, not like. So at least with 8700K, it's like what seems to stop it is thermals. It's not, and we're not anywhere near the thermal limit of this chip, I don't feel like. So we'll see. Right now we're at the package is at 84 degrees. The cores have not exceeded, the hottest core has gotten to 86. So I don't know, we might be closer than I think. We can try 5.2. Okay, we made it, I think. Yeah. So I'm gonna try a different benchmark scene real quick. Nope. Okay. Well, it's back. Sometimes Blender freezes up, and so we might be on the ragged edge of stability here. I don't know. I don't know if we'll actually do comparative testing. Like I might try and run Blender on the 2700X, but that'll be a closing thing, not a. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on that because under this EK Waterbox cooler I have on the 2700X, like the 20, it's already hitting 4 gigahertz all core, and you can probably get it to 4.2. But that's like a 5% increase. You know, I mean, we can certainly set it up that way, but it's not super interesting. Like, as far as voltages go, for 24/7 usage, I would not exceed 1.35 on a Coffee Lake chip. So we're already pretty close to like the maximum voltage I would want to run through it. But like, I think Silicon Lottery suggests like some pretty crazy voltages, honestly. So who knows? Okay, so if it's surviving Classroom, so I'm gonna restart and we'll try 5.2. So, yeah, just fire up Blender, see if it's Discord. We discovered that the stock all-core turbo is the same as the 8700K. It's 4.3 gigahertz. Oof. Yeah, this could be unstable. Well, we haven't crashed yet, but I expect it to crash. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm, like I said earlier, I'm a little disappointed that the all-core performance is not better. Extreme. It's fine. I just reset it in the middle of the boot process and it freaked. Okay, so we'll see if upping the load line calibration again helped. If yeah, well, we can try and give it more voltage. So I'm just gonna try this. This is not like fine-tuned overclocking. This is just like club. This is, you know, this is club and stone levels of primitive. So I'm just gonna set 1.38 volts and we'll see if it handles that better. Like, we might have to back off the load line calibration a bit, because extreme is extreme, and I told you to stop. Don't come back. I mean, if it throttling is better than crashing, I guess, as far as determining stability goes, because at least then we know it's a thermal limitation rather than a like the chip just not handling it. I mean, 1.38 volts doesn't. Whoa, yeah, okay, Blender crashed. So we're right on the edge of stability. So I don't know. Like, we could try and like. So 5.1, we got to 5.1 gigahertz all core on 1.35 volts with no AVX offset, which is pretty good. It's not amazing. yeah, I think we're definitely close to finding the limits of the chip as far as non-Prime 95 workloads are concerned. Yeah, we can try that. Think about it. See if... I'm gonna go get a... I'm gonna give you a or get a AVX Prime 95 here real quick, and we'll see if our all-core overclock is reasonable or not. Yeah, that voltage, it's a little much. Okay, so like 5.2 gigahertz, all cores, with a non-AVX Prime 95 is pretty good. Like we're definitely approaching the thermal limits of the chip, I feel like, but so the best AVX clock speed we got was 5.1 gigahertz all core. I have it at 5.2 gigahertz right now with a -1 AVX because I'm just pushing for the best non-AVX clock now. So I'm gonna dial back the voltage a little bit and see if we can't like hit 5.3 gigahertz all core and a -2 AVX on maybe a little lower voltage. Okay, so this is 5.3 gigahertz all core with a neg2 AVX. We'll see if that stays stable under prime 95. Prime 95, 26.6 to be clear. The answer to that question is no, it is not. Yeah, stock clocks, it is not like it's basically no different from an 8700K. Like it's if you're not going to overclock it, I would say it's absolutely not worth it. I mean, some people just want like the highest clocked possible chip without overclocking. That's why, you know, plenty of people I know bought i7-4790Ks, for example, just because they were so high clocked. Ooh, yeah, we really messed up the system there. Okay, so 5.3 gigahertz, I am expecting might try a quote-unquote suicide run here. But I think 5.2 with a neg1 offset is probably the limits of this chip without delitting it. I mean, if we push 1.4, it's going to throttle. So I want to stay away from that for as long as possible. Yeah, still no joy. Oof, yeah. Yeah, we're close. We're pretty close to the top of where this chip is, I feel like. So yeah. And that just yeah, when this thing fails at 1 point or at 5.3, it really hard locks. I with regard to cooling, like I personally am not like I don't have a D8 or a D15S here or D15 or whatever, so I can't really comment. It might. So I'm gonna go for 1.4 with 5.3, and we'll see if it. But we're gonna hit a wall one way or another. We're gonna hit a wall right here. Like if it's not stable with these settings, I'm just gonna call it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so the best we can do without delitting appears to be 5.2 gigahertz with a -1 AVX offset. So we'll let it fix this. We'll see if it comes back and. So while this is coming back, I'm going to see if I can get our Ryzen 7 2700X to 4.2. You don't belong back there, honey. Who wanted the cat? Here's a cat. Oh, God. Ow, you got your paw in my neck, honey. I know. You shouldn't be here. Okay, so I just set up the Ryzen 7 system to do 4.2 gigahertz all core, which it should be able to do without an issue. So I'm just going to run Prime 95 on this system one more time. Let this go for a little bit. We're definitely like, yeah, I just lost it. So we need to give it a hair more voltage. So I'll give it like 1.37 volts, and then we'll if it's stable there, I'll probably run Blender so we can compare like the performance of the 2700X versus this thing, and then we'll probably wrap it up there because I don't think there's anything more to be gained from what we're doing without a D-lid. Ah. So it seems even 5.2 may be too much. I'm going to kick off a Blender or Blender render on the 2700X here real quick. Okay, so maybe 5.1 gigahertz is all we can get. That's... oh boy. So yeah, I don't... I mean, yeah, I think we're just at the limits of this chip. As far without a D-lid, I think we're just at the limits of the chip. Okay, well, at least we're not blue screening instantly, so I'm going to go back, dial down the voltage a hair. The 2700X is happily chugging away at 4.2 gigahertz. So I'll probably just go ahead, run Blender here. Hopefully it runs Blender, and we'll see what the times are like. Make sure we're not throttling, because this is AVX, and so we're definitely not throttling for Blender at 5.1. So now it's just a question of how quickly the 2700X finishes versus how quickly this... like... I don't think any of this information will change the conclusion here, which is that you should probably not buy this processor. But at least we can see where the... this is 5.1 gigahertz, all core, no AVX offset. Like the V-core right now is 1.37, but it's pushing to 1.38 because I have the load line calibration set to extreme. Yeah, it's outrageously not worth it. Like, it's really a question of whether they all overclock this well. I mean, because 5.1 gigahertz with the potential for 5.2 is not bad, but it's also not worth $80. Right now, we're at 91 degrees on the hottest core and 89 on the package. Okay, so it's going to complete this. So our 8086K did this in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. The Ryzen 7 2700X at 4.2 gigahertz all core did it in 4 minutes and 8 seconds. So that that right there basically says all you need to know about multi-threaded workloads. But the Ryzen 7 is not hitting 5.1 gigahertz on a single core, which does have some relevance for certain games and certain applications, but it's not. Like, I have an i7-7740X that can hit 5.1 gigahertz on one core. Like, that's not super impressive. So yeah, so there you go. The i7-8086K for $425 is more of a it's more of interest to collectors, I think, than it is to like actual enthusiasts. At least going by this one sample, you know, obviously this is just one chip, and silicon production is a statistical process, and other chips could be better, but like $425, it's way cheaper to gamble on an 8700K than it is to gamble on one of these. So the motherboard again is the Gigabyte Aorus Z370 Gaming 7. So yeah, unless anybody has like any particular benchmarks they want run, I think I'm gonna wrap it here, because I don't think without a D-lid, which I don't have the parts to do, without the D-lid, I don't think there's much left to tell us. I'm not gonna go to the trouble of pulling out the MSI just to like for this, because the problem with the MSI board is that the VRM cooling absolutely sucks. And if you get it on a test bench and try and run like a super demanding long-term workload, it will VRM throttle. mean, I can fire up Far Cry 5. I don't know what, like, you know, if you just, I don't know what resolution you want to see, or, but, like, Far Cry 5 is an ideal case for this, because, okay. Well, it's updating currently, so. But we can, sure, we can fire it up. The memory is 3866 right now. Don't know why my network speed is so bad right now. The fact that it's wireless doesn't help. Okay, I got it on an extender. We'll see if that helps. Oh yeah, that's... Well, maybe it wasn't the network. Oh, come on, Uplay. You can't be serious. Uplay. There we go. Okay. So... Any minute now. Okay, so we're gonna do what am I doing here? Said 720p half resolution scale. Okay. I'm not going to change the graphics quality settings. So that's 182, 180 roughly. $170, $180, depending. I don't think it's gonna get. It just depends on where you're looking though, because it's dipping to 160. Oh, okay, sure. I guess that makes sense. Where is that? Sorry, I must be missing it. Hold on. Yeah, usually it's space. Do we have to change something first? I know it exists. I'm just not. Maybe you can't be in game. Hold on a minute. Yeah, it's just I was in game, so okay. So let's do that. Yeah, this is all up to date as far as Spectre and Meltdown are concerned. Yeah, so there you go, 164 average. Nothing to get terribly excited about, I guess. So, okay, guys, there's a thunderstorm rolling in here, so I'm going to get everything shut down. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully we'll do this again at some point when I go to delid the chip, since I'll probably delid it. But for now, I'm gonna call it here. Thank you again for joining me, and see you next time.